and has led to some, here's a shock, misinformation floating through the community. We are not making, even if we would go forward with staff recommendation, we are not making a final decision on anything this evening. The timetable clearly states that we would not do any decision on whether we go with a contracted or an improved open system as we have now until the 28th of November. So tonight's meeting doesn't determine any of that, no matter what we do. And the idea of what it was recommended rather that we do this evening was so that we can go the next step to see what a contract could look like that might work if we would go to the organized system. And we're not allowed to talk about that before the fact, and we're not allowed to talk about that, according to statute, during the negotiation period, which does not end until the 21st of November. So it's fine for everybody to say, well, I want to know, or shame on you because you're going to vote for something I don't want, but I find it mildly entertaining that people know what I'm going to do before I do it. And secondly, that we're going to vote on something that we said we weren't voting on until the 28th of November when we had complete information. So I understand how the mayor and possibly my other two colleagues feel, but this, in my estimation as a member of this committee, was just we were taking the next step towards seeing how it would work, and that we're not adopting anything, and we're not trying to fool anybody. And it's fascinating. I've been, for some warped reason, looking at trash collection since 1985. I know, I need a life. But no matter how many years it goes on, and no matter how you go about investigating what might work, there's a certain number of people who think they need to get their socks in a knot about their trash man. We're not to the point of deciding whether you need to get excited at this point, neither up here or out there. And this was, in my estimation, another step toward getting us to a final decision, somewhere close to the date where we said we would make that decision. To my knowledge, there's only one of us up here who has decided. Nobody else has. I, for one, cannot until the whole investigative part of this is over, which also includes the step we were talking about tonight. So
that will be enough, whoever's speaking. If there are people that decide that they're just going to yell out, I will have you removed. We will operate under rules of civility and decorum. And so just as an advance notice, there'll be nobody who applauds, nobody who boos anything that's said. Again, if you do, I'll have you removed. This is a meeting that is important not only to you but to us. And it will be conducted as any official government meeting is. So, it may sound stern, but I have a reputation for being stern, and I will use the authority that I have to control the meeting. You were saying, Ms. Ginneman.
well, it's just, and John, I think, can speak to it as also having been on the task force. This has been a very difficult thing to do because we know how unpopular people want to make it. Whether it's true or not true, people want to believe things about it. And as much as I've been looking at this since 1985, like I said, I need a life, I still don't know all that there is to be had, and I certainly never knew what it would mean for us if we did it specifically here, which is what the next step involves. What would it look like if we chose to do this? And tonight's action, or inaction, is the next step in the process. So if we don't take it tonight, it's still the next step in the process when we get to this point. We cannot, in my estimation, talk about balancing two systems if we don't know them both. And our meeting on the 28th of November is supposed to address both a contracted system, which would be the new one, and a improved system as we have now. because it needs some tweaking. Even people in the system admit that. That's the date for that. But I would never, at this point, give up on seeing what this could look like when we've gone this far. That would be like saying we should do the budget every year without getting to the end of knowing what the amount of money was. You do the whole picture, and then you make a decision. And I understand other people's need to know, but understand that our recommendation and staff recommendation was made with the law in mind of how we're supposed to do this. We're being advised by a consultant who knows a lot more about this than we'll ever know, and staying within the realm of where it makes some kind of sense to study it. And it's not easy to do. So I understand, but whatever you got, whatever little love note you got from your trash man that says we're trying to run somebody out of town is basically a lie. Because we're not trying to run